Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new review, and I'm real excited for this one because I'm reviewing the movie 30 Days of Night, released in 2007. Now this is a vampire horror film. I don't know if I've reviewed any vampire horror films on this channel before, but it's one of the scariest and bloodiest horror films I've seen, vampire horror films. It's based on the 2002 comic book miniseries of the same name by Steve Niles, who also co-wrote the film's screenplay, directed by David Slade, and starring Josh Hartnett and Melissa George. The story focuses on an Alaskan town beset by vampires as it enters into a 30-day-long polar night. So let's get started. The town of Barrow, Alaska prepares for the annual month-long polar night. A stranger arrives from a large ship and sabotages the town's communications and transports. As Barrow's chef, Evan Olsen, played by Josh Hartnett, investigates the sabotage, he learns that his estranged wife Stella, played by Melissa George, missed the last plane out of town and must stay for the month. That night, a band of vampires attacks and slaughters most of the townspeople, including Eben's grandmother Helen. Eben, Stella, and her brother Jake, along with 7 other survivors, evade the vampires and take shelter in a boarded-up house with a hidden attic. In the police station holding cell, Marlowe, the leader of the band, finds a stranger who believes the vampires will turn him as a reward for his help. However, Marlowe snaps his neck, mostly off screen, but with a cringe-worthy crunch sound. When the vampires torture a survivor to bait out the rest, Eben takes the opportunity to save a resident named John Reese, who was hiding underneath a hut. However, Eben is horrified to see that John has turned and reluctantly kills him in self-defense, I think with an axe to the neck or something. Maybe he decapitates him. I don't know. I don't exactly remember. Meanwhile, Isaac Bowles' son, who has dementia, leaves the attic. As his son, Wilson, runs out into the open after him, both are killed. 18 days later, a blizzard hits the town, causing a whiteout. The group goes to the general store for supplies, but gets stranded after the blizzard abruptly ends. They head for the station while Eben creates a... Is it Evan or Eben? I don't know. Creates a diversion. He alerts the vampires to his grandmother's greenhouse and uses an ultraviolet light fixture to severely burn Marlowe's lover, Iris, forcing her to mercy kill her. Eben is aided by Bo Brower, the town's snowplow operator, who kills many vampires with his tractor. When he crashes, Bo attempts a suicide bombing to kill the remaining vampires. However, Bo and the vampires survive the explosion, and Marlowe crushes his head like he just smashes his head open with a boot, but not too gory, I don't think. At least I don't think it was. On day 27, Stella and Eben see the deputy Billy Kitka signaling them with a flashlight and bring him back to the station after finding out he killed his family to save them from a more painful death. The trio find the others have made for the Utilidor and a empowered sewage treatment station that sells power and head over there. Stella splits from the group to save Gail Robbins, a young girl whose family was slaughtered. Eben and Billy make it to the Utilidor, but are attacked by the vampire Arden. Billy kills Arden, but gets bitten in the process. Eben is forced to kill him when he starts to turn, with an axe to the neck, I think, and decapitate him. This movie's pretty bloody and scary, but it's one of my favorites. But I'll get to that in a second. As the month ends, with the sun due to rise, the vampires prepare to ignite the fuel line running through the town, planning to use the explosion to destroy evidence of their presence. Realizing Stella and Gale are trapped in the open and that he cannot beat the vampires in his current state, Eben injects himself with Billy's blood. Now vampire Eben confronts Marlowe and manages to kill the vampire leader after a vicious fight, causing the remaining vampires to flee. With the attack over, Eben and Stella, now among the town's only survivors, watch the sun rise together, sharing one last kiss. As the sun rises, Eben's body burns as ash in Stella's arms. So my thoughts on this film, I honestly really like this one. I'd give it at least like a 4, maybe a 4.5, maybe even a 5. It was definitely something. It was pretty scary stuff. Like it was intense, creepy. Like those vampires are one of the most probably the most terrifying movie vampires I've seen in any horror movie. They look like Dracula kinda, and they're very scary looking. This movie's not only pretty bloody and gory, but it also is pretty scary. It's one of the scariest movies I've seen. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I definitely recommend it. If you haven't seen 30 Days of Night, I strongly suggest it because it's one of my favorite films. horror films, as I'm mostly into the horror genre, but I'm open to other genres too, and I probably will review like other ones like Good Burger and the show Atypical at some point. But for now, we're sticking mostly with horror movies, but I'll probably get to those at some point. So yeah, this movie was really good, and if you haven't seen it, I strongly recommend it. And you guys should definitely check out 30 Days of Night. Maybe get some popcorn, invite a few friends over. It's a fun little movie to watch with your friends or family if they're into horror movies and stuff. But honestly, this is good for people who don't like horror movies because even though it's like bloody and scary, it's not like overly graphic. I mean, it has blood, but it's not any worse than any other typical slasher movie. It's not over the top. That's what I'm trying to say. It is bloody, but like not as bloody as it could be, and relies more on scares and suspense. But if you guys haven't seen 30 Days of Night, I strongly suggest it because it's one of my favorite movies. It's I don't know if I've seen Dracula, but I've heard of it, and I think this one would probably be better. I mean, I haven't seen Dracula, I don't think, but this one seems better. I mean, it probably would be better. I don't know, but I probably will watch Dracula at some point because it's a classic. But 30 Days of Night is probably one of the few vampire movies I've seen. I haven't seen many vampire movies, but I have to say, out of all the vampire movies I've seen, this one's my favorite. So yeah, 30 Days of Night, scary, terrifying, creepy, lots of blood. Not like super gory, but like, I mean, it is pretty gory, but like not like Terrifier level gory, Like it's just like vampires biting people. But there is a lot of blood, so if you're squeamish around blood, you probably want to skip this one. Or if you get scared, you probably want to skip this one because this is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. But yeah, if you guys like horror movies, I'd strongly recommend this one if you haven't seen it. But yeah, 30 Days of Night 2007. I have not seen the sequel, 30 Days of Night Dark Days, and I don't know if I will because the reviews look pretty bad. I like the first one. I really like the first one, but it looks like the second one is pretty bad. And this one got like mediocre reviews, but I thought it was really good. I thought it was better than mediocre. I thought it was really good. But yeah, you guys should check out 30 Days of Night 2007, and I'll see you guys next time for a much darker film, Hostel, which is literally a torture movie. So I'll see you guys next time for that one. Bye.